All right, welcome back to Project Overhaul. In this episode, we're going to cross off some more things off the list, but just to kind of review, we did knock off a major item off the checklist, and that was the engine and transmission. Now, as we all know, with any big project, that's just one step of the way because we still have a lot of things to do, a lot of things to check off the list before we can bust this car off for the first time with this new setup. So tonight's plan of action is to get the electrical all hooked up, put the alternator in, get the Holly system all plugged back in and everything, check over the wiring and stuff like that, make sure we cross off all the checklists for electrical because we don't want to deal with any kind of electrical fire or other hazards that could be in regards to that. We want to make sure that's all squared away. So that's what I'm going to be doing tonight is jumping in here. Also I need to install the new power steering pump and also get some odds and ends in the engine bay knocked out. So I'm going to work on that tonight, and then we're going to move on to another major thing, and that's the fuel system. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the engine bay and get to work. In. All right, another couple things we accomplished that we did not film. We got the rest of the hot side and the cold side piping for the turbo system on. We started wrapping up some lines that came close to the hot side with some thermal heat tape, and also got other things buttoned up. Pretty much everything on the front side of the car here is about wrapped up. can. And we've been known to attempt to, yeah, mess some stuff up. All right. Yeah. Got a nice edge there to bring the line straight out. I got a new filter thing there. Grommet.
Grommet.
That's right, it's French.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's the.
Italian.
We gotta take this out and put the sending it thing in. We'll look through the instructions and stuff, see how far we want to go with it. Yeah, that's the new eliminator tank. It's supposed to be able to handle like 1,200 horsepower, and then like 1,000 horsepower in the 85. But this car ain't gonna get there.
You got a Dominator and an Eliminator.
Exactly. That's the idea. I wanted to be kosher.
Which came from a Terminator.
That's right. All right, we're working on the new Aeromotive fuel tank here, and we just popped out the old factory sending unit, and we attached it to the included bracket for the Aeromotive tank. As you can see, this is what it should look like. Now, this is an OEM sending unit. I bought an aftermarket one, and nothing seemed to line up right on it, so we decided just to take out the factory one, and sure enough, it was made for this included bracket. It just pops right in. Just one wire that you go to your signal wire, and one ground attachment that you go right here. So now we're gonna go ahead and get this installed in the tank here real quick, and then we'll get the actual pump itself mounted into the tank.
That one I think we can get in tank.
Okay. Make sure that wire is long enough to reach out here to do the splice. You have to maneuver the assembly down in there, but you can see those black clips it comes with. Kind of just friction fit everything together. Just gotta make sure your float for the fuel level sending unit goes over the little basket there, and then make sure you leave yourself enough wire to be able to make your splice to the new fuel pump. Perfect.
my hand. Cool.
All right, little PSA here, little break in the action. Be prepared for curveballs, be prepared for things to not go your way, because that's kind of in the situation we are in right now. As you saw, we are messing with the new fuel tank going into the car, and as you see, it's not installed. It's because we're having issues with fitment of the new Aeromotive Eliminator fuel tank, and we can't get it to quite fit into the car properly. So we have to come up with a solution here to figure out how we can get this thing to fit, or if there's another solution out there that we're not thinking of. So instead of just throwing up our hands and quitting, we decided to take a break for a few hours and then come back to it. What we're going to do now is keep ourselves busy with doing the fuel lines from the front all the way to the back. And then when we get back here and we got nothing else we need to do, we're going to jump back on this fuel tank and see if we can come up with a solution for our problem. So the whole point is be prepared for curveballs, be prepared for things that not go your way, be prepared for things to not fit, prepare for modifications that are absolutely necessary, especially when it comes to building performance cars. That's just part of the game. That's all there is to it. Yes, 99% of the time, most parts that are made for your car will work just fine, but there's always that outlier, there's always that thing that pops up that just throws a wrench into your whole plan. So instead of getting frustrated about it, took a step back. A couple hours later here, we're going to jump back to it, but we're going to start with something else so we can get some more stuff accomplished and checked off the list, and then we can jump back onto the fuel tank. So just a couple things to note that's holding us back right now. The tank itself is a really nice piece, but the actual hat assembly for the eliminator pump, Aeromotive sent me a 10AN feed fitting and a Dash 8 return. No issues with the Dash 8 return, but the 10AN physically would not be able to turn inside the ORB threads because it was physically too big. So I happen to have a couple extra fittings for 4 Innovations that are the extension ORB fittings. I was able to push out that 10AN fitting out past the hat, so that way I could still hook up my 10AN feed fitting. So that was one solution that we came up with that I just happened to have. Now, of course, if you're in that situation, you don't have those fittings, you'd have to order an extension or just run Dash 8 and then eventually adapt it to Dash 10. Again, needing extra parts and stuff to just add to your whole project. And I understand the frustration of that, but I just happen to have the solution on hand. Other thing is the wiring and stuff, we got that all done, but there's no channel on the new Eliminator tank for that wiring to fit in. As in the factory one does, because the way that the sending unit sits down, there's actually a nice little bevel or a channel for the wiring to run through. This new tank does not, so we have to come up with a solution for that. It's probably going to end up massaging some of the trunk metal here under the car. So we have to tackle that as well. But beyond that, you know, it's just another thing to just say that any project's going to throw you curveballs and give you things to be frustrated at. So instead of just getting completely frustrated and quitting, we're going to tackle something else and then come back to it so we can come up with a solution that maybe we didn't think of at the time. So I don't know what that solution definitely is yet, but I'll definitely share it with you when we get there. So what we're going to do once we come back from our little break here, we're going to tackle the rest of the fuel system in regards to the fuel lines. We have a bunch of fuel lines to make up, and we'll get those mounted and strapped up to the car. And then when we get back here, we'll jump back onto the fuel tank. All right, so enough of me rambling. Let's get back on this fuel system.
at it again with the every size wrench.
Yep.
I was like, does he even have tools?
Yep.
Alright, good.
Yep. No, she golden. She's like golden corral, full of gravy.
Gotcha.
Start that once we get that up there. Actually, we can tighten it down.
Yeah.
Take a look at that. We're done with this thing now, right?
Yeah.
How do you lower it?
Just the little release pedal down there.
Oh. Cool. Everything still has room to plug in for the when the intake manifold's in. Alright, cool.
Alright, got a lot accomplished in this episode, and as you saw, we did come up with a solution to get the new fuel tank inside the car, and all it took was just a little bit of clearancing, and then after the initial test fit and do a little bit of clearancing, we were able to get the tank installed into the car properly, having enough room for the fuel hoses and fittings and the wiring to go through without being smashed up against the floorboard of the car. So we got that all taken care of, and we got all the new fuel lines and everything ran to where they're supposed to go and all tightened up. So essentially the fuel system is pretty much 95% done. We just got a couple wiring items to take care of, which we'll do in the next episode. So essentially, we got everything taken care of that we wanted to. After taking a little bit of a break, we came back and overcame our obstacles, and now we can move on to the next thing. I attribute this to probably just tolerances from Ford. As we all know, Fox bodies, car to car, can be a little bit different. And after talking to a few other people that have installed this exact same tank and fuel system, they didn't experience the same issues I did. So I just attribute that to part tolerances, but we overcame our issue, and this tank is a really nice piece. It does fit up in there really well after doing a little bit of jockeying in the end of that clearancing, and we were able to knock this thing out. So in the next episode, we're going to go ahead and take care of some wiring things, and also getting everything ready to prime up the engine and get ready to fire off Project Overhaul for the first time. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.